how important is it for Luka to make a statement tonight against his former team that showed him the door?
Luka doesn't need to make a statement. They need to build on what they accomplished Saturday, because if they don't go ahead and take care of business, minus Anthony Davis, minus Lively, minus Gafford, that Saturday win doesn't mean a whole lot. What they need to do is build on what they did Saturday. They played well over the last 10 games. I think LeBron is averaging 29 points, almost 9-9 in his last 10 games. They're 8-2. Luka had his best game Saturday since he arrived in LA, but I think it's just important for those guys. Luka's going to be Luka. Luka is going to get his points because nobody has found an answer for him since he's been in the league. But I don't want him to put all that pressure on him and say, you need to make a statement. They know what they have in Luka. That's why they made the trade. Not everybody would be willing to make that trade, but that's Luka Doncic. 5-time All-NBA, one of the best players in basketball, and the second highest scoring average in playoff history. Luka doesn't need to make a statement. They need to make a statement and improve and build on what they accomplished and let this resonate throughout the Western Conference. Hey, Lakers with Luka and LeBron, they're legit. Them LL boys.
I completely disagree with you, Shannon. I think he has to make a statement tonight because of who it's against and what he is basically proclaiming they did to him, along with his daddy. When he was talking about, remember, when he departed from Dallas to Los Angeles, his father was on the record. They were shocked. They didn't see this coming. But most importantly, his own daddy spoke up about how, he didn't appreciate how his son's reputation was being sullied because they didn't just make a trade. It was the reasons behind it, Shannon. He was out of shape. He wasn't dedicated. He marched to his own tune. He had his own strength and conditioning team, his own trainers, all of this other stuff. I remember when we asked the Dallas Mavericks, when is he expected to return? And they gave the date, and they said, but in truth, we really, really don't know until his team informs us and stuff like that. They just felt like they were painting him as an individual who was out of control and difficult to manage. And when you take that into account and you witness the greatness that he's putting forth, 25 years of age, averaging 28 a game, averaged nearly 34 last year, went to a couple of Western Conference Finals, went to an NBA Finals, unquestioned greatness. No excuse to move somebody like this. They were saying, yes, there is. And you're going to see why when you get him. I think when somebody lets you go under those pretenses, under that condition, when you see them, there's a little something extra in your eyes. And the chip on your shoulder is a bit more significant. And you have to play like that. That's my personal opinion.
Luka Doncic, more than any other player in the league, runs a heat check the first trip up the floor. He's the only guy in the league that does that. Right out of layup lines, heat check, first trip, because that's the way he plays. I think he does that in this game, because that's what he normally does. Now, if he hits a couple of threes in the first few minutes and he gets to feeling it, and LeBron James probably knowing, because he's been through this exact moment, what this probably means to him, LeBron's going to now help him, and it may become more about Luka in this game where he puts a big number up. But first of all, this game could get out of hand with how shorthanded Dallas is. Who knows what the game's going to turn into. But here's what I really think. Luka doesn't really want it to be this game. He's going to pour the gasoline this game. He's going to light the match in April when they go to Dallas. And Anthony Davis is on the floor. And Nico Harrison is in the building. That's the night that Luka Doncic is going to want to go scorched earth and drop 50, 60, whatever it may be. And he's going to have intent to do it right away. I don't know that it's quite there in this game. A shorthanded Dallas team, it's not in Dallas. Yeah, he wants to have a good night, but I don't think, Stephen A., the message is as important. I do think there is a time to send it, and it's going to be in Dallas. So he can do it, look up at the owner's box, look over where the GM is sitting. Anthony Davis, maybe get him on a switch, try to buckle his ankles. That is going to be more important to Luka to send that message, like this is what you got rid of me for. I don't know that that's going to be tonight.
Well, I would agree with you under normal circumstances, but this is the first time he's seeing them since it happened. Jason Kidd is going to be in the building. Nico Harrison is going to be in the building. He is traveling with the team. Dallas and its ownership, they're going to be in the building. Luka knows who they are. And this is the first time you're going to see them since all of this happened. I understand if it wasn't, but this is the first time. And that's what I'm not saying. I'm not taking away any of those things that you're saying about what's going to happen when he gets to Dallas, because that's a different feel. But this is the initial feeling. And that's what I'm saying. He hasn't seen them, Shannon. Like literally, face to face. He has not seen him. He hasn't seen him standing on the court. He hasn't seen him sitting in the stands. He hasn't seen Jason Kidd. Obviously, and it's not Jason Kidd's decision. Of course, it's Nico and ownership. But the point is, this is his first time seeing it. And I think that when you see them and you look over at them, he ain't waiting until he gets to Dallas. I think he's going to come out there tonight and look to hurt people's feelings. Yes.
Stephen A., if you remember, when LeBron went back, where was his first game? It was in Cleveland. And the vitriol that he felt. Remember LeBron from Miami? And he went back to Cleveland the first time?
And what happened?
He did that number on him. He let him
And there you go.
But here's the thing, Steve.
Remember that?
But here's
Came
the
back
thing.
from 27
that was in
down.
Cleveland. Yes, that was in Cleveland. Now, when he goes back to Dallas, and all those fans, remember, Stephen A., they canceling their season tickets. They're having burial services for Luka and situation. Now he's in that building. And as Leg says, he comes down and takes a couple of heat check threes, and the building erupts. Can you imagine? He's going to get cheers every time he scores.
I agree.
They're going to boo their home team because Luka was their guy. They had just got another Dirk Nowitzki. That was the guy we're supposed to have in our folds, just like Dirk. Now, whether or not he wanted to play as long as Dirk, but he was supposed to be their Dirk Nowitzki, Stephen A.
Yeah, but
20 years. Luka was supposed to stay there 15.
But, Shannon, I'm not disagreeing with you or Legs. I'm simply saying I get what's going to happen when he gets to Dallas. I'm saying when you see them tonight for the first time, what you think he going to wait? Yeah. He ain't going to wait.
You never know how a player is going to respond with all those emotions.
He going to give him a little triple-double, a little light triple-dub.
Like triple-dub.
Miss Triple-Dub
Yeah,
showing up again? Yeah, Stephen A's looking. So, Stephen A., how important is it for Luka to win a title for the Lakers?
Well, it's everything because it's the Los Angeles Lakers. This is what they do. They acquired Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They ultimately won 5 titles. They acquired Kobe Bryant. That was via trade because, remember, Charlotte originally drafted them. Jerry West pulled off that draft day magistry. I mean, the bottom line is he won 5 titles. You look at Paul Gasol. He helped give you 2. You look at Anthony Davis. He got you 1. The Lakers are accustomed to winning championships. There's only one franchise that has won more. It is the Boston Celtics. That's it. That's all we're talking about here. So when you come to the Los Angeles Lakers, that's tinsel time. It's title time. It's what their expectations are. It's a different standard wearing the purple and gold. Yeah. When you are a superstar, you don't matter unless you deliver that good. Could you imagine if LeBron James had never won a title in Los Angeles? After Kobe and Kareem and Magic and everybody else, but LeBron hadn't won one, it would be an entirely different legacy of his. But he delivered the goods. Now it's Luka's turn. Yeah, speaking of Hollywood, Shannon?
It doesn't matter how you get to the Lakers. You go back. It was Wilt that started it, won a championship. Kareem won a championship. Bob McAdoo won a championship. Shaquille O'Neal won a championship. Pau Gasol won a championship. LeBron James, Anthony Davis won a championship. If you are a great player and you come to the Los Angeles Lakers, it is a requirement. It is a requirement that you win a title. So absolutely. And as great as Luka is, because if you look at it, Wilt came on the tail end of his career. Bob McAdoo likewise. So in a situation like this, where you got a prime Luka, a championship is an absolute certain in order for him to be considered one of these Laker greats. Hopefully, it's multiple because that is what the requirement is if you are a great player and you play for this franchise.
All right. I am so glad we asked this question.
Okay.
Because when this trade went down, the very first thing I said the next day, first of all, I personally think this trade is going to be talked about 50 years from now. That's what I believe. But only if Luka Doncic wins in Los Angeles. In fact, this trade is only going to be determined by that. It doesn't matter what Anthony Davis does. It doesn't matter if the Dallas Mavericks win a championship in the next 2 to 3 years because you could have done it with Luka. That's what people are going to say. What matters is what happens with the rest of the arc of Luka Doncic's career. Does he go to LA and not just win 1, but that would probably answer the question. But if he wins 2, 3, or something like that over the next decade, Imagine how this trade is going to be viewed, no matter what success Anthony Davis has or what success the Dallas Mavericks have. This is about Luka Doncic and Luka Doncic only and what he does from this point forward, because the Dallas Mavericks bet on the fact that he couldn't win.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have made the trade if they didn't believe that guy could not lead you to a championship.
But do you think that's foolish? Sorry, real quick, Stephen A. Do you think it's foolish that they bet against it? Because we had Shannon Sharpe on and giving a report that basically that they're betting against his success.
That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
How else could you interpret it? They're betting that he is not going to ultimately squeeze that last 10 or 15% out of himself, whatever it may be, off-season conditioning, leadership, in-season grinding, stop complaining at the refs, whatever it is. They don't think he could squeeze that last 15% out to become the all-time great and lead this franchise to championships. Otherwise, you can't possibly make the trade. That is the bet that they made. So if Luka leads a different franchise to championships, that answers the question. So for me, the entire trade is predicated on what Luka does. Nothing else matters. He's got to win in L.A.
There's a caveat to it. I get what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree. I just think it's not complete. Luka not winning is catastrophic. It's significantly more so if Anthony Davis does win the championship. Because if he wins the championship and Luka doesn't win at all, that's problematic. If they find themselves over the next few years, Dallas gets a championship, the Lakers get a couple of championships. Yes, Luka wins and the Dallas Mavericks still don't look great because guess what? He's winning a couple of chips without you. And you were betting on the fact that he couldn't win. We also got to take into account Nico Harrison, who I like. But the bottom line is this. He made a change, and ownership obviously is all in on this because this is what they wanted to do. They went to Western Conference Finals a few years ago. Remember, they had Jalen Brunson. You moved him. You moved Luka, okay? What's Luka going to do? We see what Jalen Brunson is doing in New York City. Those are the kind of things that are going to stockpile on a Nico Harrison if Luka comes to Los Angeles and win. We got to pay attention to all of that. But I do think Anthony Davis winning a championship in Dallas with Kyrie takes some of that off of them.
Only if Luka doesn't. Right. That's the only scenario.
But are you betting on Luka? Are you betting on Luka?
I am betting on Luka, yes. I'm betting on a 25-year-old with the 33-9-9 every night. Yeah,
so
I'm betting on that.
So am I.
And especially going to that franchise.
Yes.
He's going to figure this out. Now, look, there might be some things you're going to always wish he does better. He's not a grinder. He's not Giannis running on the beach, running sprints in the summer. Okay, I get it. Luka Doncic's talent at 25 years old and his body of success already at 25.
And what if he gets in shape?
That's what I'm saying.
And by the way,
I'm betting on Luka.
By the way, Jeannie Buss, we believe in Jeannie Buss in terms of her going out there and get somebody. Give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. He's done a hell of a job. Because he's done a hell of a job. It's now if Luka comes up there and wins, wow.
And they found a coach too.
Luka in shape is not going to look like LeBron James in shape. It's not going to look like the Dwight Howard or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. He just doesn't have that body makeup. He can be in shape, but y'all expect the man to have caps on his shoulders and calves bulging out. That's not the body type that he has. But you know, Stephen A., when you go back and trace it to when they first got Wilt Chamberlain, and you come all the way through, if you are a superstar, and this guy, Luka Doncic, is a mega superstar, it is an absolute requirement because everybody that came before you has done it. So that's the succession plan that you have in place. From 72, when they got Wilt back in the early 70s, all the way through to now you got him in 2024. 25. This is a requirement for a Laker great players because all the other great players before you did exactly that. And you must do that because in L.A., if you don't win, Stephen A., you know they won't come.
That's right. And this is the last thing. He may have actually extended and prolonged the career of LeBron James.
How many more years?
LeBron wasn't going nowhere anyway.
No, wait a minute. He might have chosen to.
He wasn't going nowhere. Honestly, don't try to rush us off.
Shannon, how many more years
I see what you're doing. You're trying to shoo us off the porch like we're a cat or something. We're not going nowhere.
I said I'm not rushing them off. What I'm saying is everybody was talking about at the beginning of the season, 2 years left or whatever. We don't know what LeBron James might do now, especially if they're winning with Luka. He might not go anyway. He might stay another 5 is what I'm trying to say. Before you so rudely interrupted me, I'm just, he might stay another 5.
Leg.
He
45 years old.
He been trying to shoo LeBron off the porch like he a cat anyway. Shoot, get out of here. Go ahead, scram. No, we ain't going nowhere.
Hey, taking him off the ball, It's going to add a couple years. There's no doubt about it, man.
Right.
Less grind.
Having
to feed everybody else. Right. You got somebody now to feed everybody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
25 years, though, in the NBA. I don't know.